I think I was really lucky in that regard because I was a user, and so I understood the value really quickly. And when you understand the value of what you're selling, it makes it much easier to have those conversations. So I was fortunate enough to receive that value for several years and saw a big impact of it. So I think that helped for sure. But I think most of the time, if you focus on the customer's problems or where they're trying to go, and in the industry, you can do well. I think when people start to focus on the product they're selling or the solution they have versus what the customer is going through, that's where dramatic industry shifts could probably be a little bit difficult for you. But I've always tried to focus on the customer, and so when you do that, most of the time, those transitions are a little bit easier. In most, I mean, depending, there are fringe areas here where this doesn't apply, but most areas of tech are fairly competitive nowadays. So, like you said, there's so many people looking to get into that area, and there's so much technology that's being created. So it creates this competition on the talent side and competition on the products you're selling. So, it's definitely a fast-paced environment it's important for you to embrace that element of it. But I've always said that, like, the one thing that makes tech so different and exciting is you have to be really, really comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if there's anything that's constant in SaaS sales, and I know this is a cliche, it's change. Like, it's constantly changing, and technology is constantly shifting. And so if change is not something that like you thrive on, it's probably not the best fit. But on the other side of it, if you love that fast-paced environment and you love kind of the thrill of all of that and don't mind the jerking change back and forth of how things are going, then yeah, definitely it's a place to have a lot of fun, learn a lot, grow your career, and grow from a financial perspective. It can be lucrative as well. So I think those are the areas that attract a lot of people to it. But yeah, it's changing really quickly. From a career perspective, align to the right mentors early. I think that's really, really important outside of being able to do the job and be successful at the job. I think aligning to those people that have done it before and are successful, or I was really fortunate enough to have some really key mentors early on in my career, people that I still learn from every day. So I think that would be the first piece. The second piece is really focus on your customer. Like I said before, either challenging them to think in a different way or doing a really good job of learning about their problems and being very proactive about solving them. That's where you'll start to add value. And if you add value to your customers, then typically the selling parts becomes a lot easier. And third, sales is and always will be a role where working hard is part of the DNA of great salespeople. So I can't say anything about being good sales without working hard. And I think that's part of that competitive nature and grit. I think while it's depreciating in value, like you can't just work hard and be successful at sales like you could maybe 10 years ago, it's still always going to be part of the role. I always tell salespeople, like, there's, and some companies are better at than others, but there's, some companies do, career planning and things like that for their employees. But it's very clear to me that the ones that own their own career are the ones that are very successful. And what I would, I was very fortunate enough to get into leadership really quickly. And part of the reasons that I was able to do that is I made it very clear that I knew where I wanted to go, that I wanted to get into leadership. And I made that very clear to the people that would make that decision. And I did it early and then asked them what it would take for me to be the first choice when that opportunity arose. And so over time, I built a business case as to why I would be the right fit for that role when it happened. And so you could say that I interviewed over time versus like, just threw my name in a hat when a role came up. And I would encourage people to do that early. Is the sooner you know, and it's really hard for young people, and it was hard for me. The sooner you know where you want to go, the easier it is to create a direct line or path to that. And then once you do, it's about instead of waiting for that role to open and then going after it, it's being very proactive with the person that's going to make that decision. Is really sound advice I got and continue to use. As far as personality traits, like I've seen successful sellers across all areas of personality types. I think some skills that they're, I think, starting to bubble up as very important skills that you need as a seller are creativity. So creativity probably wasn't a top skill 10 years ago, but now getting in front of someone is much harder than it was before. And so being able to be creative in how you do that is really important. That creativity goes nowhere unless you have business acumen. So you need to have the ability to articulate and what I would call take complex problems and simplify them very quickly. So business acumen is very, very important. And then coachability. So those are the three top things that we look at. And coachability is just really, being able to take feedback and improve very quickly. And, we encourage our team to fail fast, but just don't fail twice at the same thing. And so if you fail quickly, learn from it, and that's how that continuous improvement continues to drive results. And so those are some areas or skills that I would look to sharpen if I was trying to be a seller. No one's really sold anymore, right? There's this idea of like selling someone something, and I really don't think it happens that much. Selling is what I would call enabling the buyer to understand exactly what problem they have, and you're the guide to get them from where they are today to whatever transformation they're trying to achieve. If you don't fundamentally look at it like that, and you're trying to just sell licenses or sell product, it's going to be really, really hard for you nowadays because there's so much information out there. And you think about like leading with actually transparency, you're leading with the gaps that you have as a product and focusing on the business problem the customer had. They're starting to just yield more or better results, is the first thing I would say. And the other thing that I would say is that's kind of in the same vein is stop selling features or functions. Like the little nerd knob on your product like looks cool and it's great and like I'm sure it's amazing, but like what problem does it solve? And like make sure you're highlighting that because there's all kinds of features out there, but if they don't get adopted and they don't tie it to whatever the company's focused on, they don't matter. And as proud as you can be about your product and the little features that it has, which I'm sure are amazing, at the end of the day, the customer's got to care.